the adrenal glands. Basically, the short end of the story today is there are many different symptoms that can be caused by many different things. So you kind of have to be a detective to find out what is the actual cause. Because if you're not addressing what the actual cause is, the symptoms are going to continue to go on. And as you'll see, we'll go through, there are lots of different things that cause the same kind of symptoms. Okay, so first, estrogen is a hormone produced by the female body to prepare it for pregnancy. And this is the dominant hormone for the first 2 weeks of your normal menstrual cycle. Then we have progesterone, which is produced to help balance estrogen and to stabilize the uterus to accept pregnancy, and this dominates the second 2 weeks of your normal cycle. Okay, low blood sugar caused by an overactive pancreas or toxic liver causes a lack of sugar to the brain. These conditions can cause similar emotional symptoms as experienced during PMS and menopause. So that's one of the key things you'll see here is PMS and low blood sugar and also adrenal problems, which is related to stress, kind of have the similar symptoms. So like I said, we have to kind of be a detective and figure out which one of those three things, or even several others, is the actual problem that you're dealing with. I heard some of the ladies up here talking about it, so I'm going to mention it too. So hormones are lots of places now except for your own body. So they are fed to livestock, which then when you eat that meat or that milk, the person that's eating it gets those hormones as well. And one of the other big things that contains the estrogen now is the plastic. So if I could just borrow your water bottle, I'm not sure if everybody knows. On the bottom of most plastic water bottles, it's a little triangle and there's a number on the inside. Number 1 is the best plastic you can get. It's still not very good, but it's the best. Whereas number 7, which some of the older Nalgene models are, is the worst kind. So if you're going to have plastic, try and get the number 1. But if at all possible, thank you, try and avoid the plastic altogether. And then the worst thing that you can do with the plastic is heat it up. So the Tupperware that you heat things up in the microwave, that just lets the estrogen soak into the food a lot faster because now it's heated up. And also the dishwasher, that's very high heat in there that causes the estrogen to leak out. So next time you use that container or that cup or something, it has an increased estrogen in it. So if you're going to use that stuff, I know it's hard to say, okay, never use plastic. I know that's ridiculous, but try and hand wash it if you can. And if you're going to use the microwave, put it in something glass to put it in the microwave. Does that kind of make sense to everybody? Okay. Okay, so proper nutrition is vital for any solution to women's health problems. This includes not only avoiding animal foods that contain estrogen, but also supplementing the diet with things like calcium and magnesium, vitamin E, vitamin C, essential fatty acids, and a good woman's multivitamin. Our chemistry is very complex, so there's lots of different things that you may or may not need depending on what's personally going on with your body. So I'm not getting up here saying, okay, everyone go out and buy all these different products. That's also a little bit ridiculous. So there's different things that you may or may not need depending on your diet and how well you're taking care of yourself already. Okay, stress is harmful when one cannot adapt to it, and it can cause the malfunctions of a person's nervous system. The nervous system controls all the organs, glands, and hormones. Its role is often ignored in the treatment of these problems. As chiropractors, we kind of focus on the nervous system, so that's where we start. Since that's what controls everything, we go from there and see, okay, is everything functioning the way it should? And then if not, that's how we take the steps to kind of see what we can do to help. And also a side note, on the physiological level, with all these chemicals, your body cannot tell the difference between a good stress and a bad stress. So, yes, there's different emotions with good stress and bad stress. Bad stress you're not happy about, but a good stress, something that gets you really excited and happy, on the physiological level, you're still producing that same stress hormone, which is called cortisol. So that's something that's still affected. Just because you're happy and it's, you're happy to be stressed about something good that's happening, it's still affecting your body in a stressful way. So that's just something to kind of keep in the back of your head. Stress is something that's hard for any of us to avoid. Okay? So, and the adrenal glands are what kind of help us deal with the stress. So they play a vital role in many body functions. For example, they help regulate blood sugar levels, produce sex hormones, and in addition, directly affect your energy and your metabolism. So these little guys have a big job to do, and they're pretty much working 24/7. So we need to make sure that they're supported properly. Okay, this is a very simplified teeter-totter that kind of represents our chemical makeup. Okay, so on this side, these are the hormones that build things up. Okay, so we have insulin, which deals with blood sugar. We have our growth hormones, which help us, become big and strong. And then our sex or reproductive hormones, so the things like the estrogen and progesterone. Then on the other side of the teeter-totter are the hormones that break things down. Okay, so we have the cortisol, which I said is the stress hormone. So anytime you're stressed, you got that cortisol buildup, it's starting to break things down. And we have the thyroid hormones. So this should be in balance, but as you can see, there's lots of factors, so it's easy for it to get out of balance. One of the biggest things, does anybody in here kind of crave sweet and sugary foods a lot of the time? Okay, one explanation for that, there are several, is that when you're stressed, okay, this cortisol shoots up. Okay, so now the teeter-totter is heavy on that side and that side is down. Now there's two different ways the body can handle this. It can either decrease the thyroid hormones, right, to pull this back up to neutral, or it can increase your insulin to make this side heavier to weigh it down. And when you increase your insulin, that's when you crave that sugary food, because that's when insulin does its job, when you have the sugary foods and it's there to counteract that. So when this goes up without you eating anything sugary, that's why you then crave that sugar to take care of the excess insulin. But unless you control that cortisol, if that was the initial problem, it's going to keep going like that. Sometimes you just can't get enough chocolate and candy and things like that, right? Okay? So as you can see, there's lots of different things that can happen on this teeter-totter, and that goes back to, okay, you got to make sure which one has started the out of balance. Because eating the sweets controls the insulin, right? But if the cortisol was the original problem, you haven't really done anything to affect that. Okay, so any questions about this teeter-totter before I go on? Okay. Okay, so here are some of the common symptoms of PMS. So headaches, backaches, cramps and joint pain, fatigue, water retention, breast tenderness, mood swings, and like I said, the increased chocolate craving. Anybody in here get any one of these, all of these, anything like that? Okay. Now, it might seem like at this point, oh, it's just a regular thing. I get it every month. I know it's going to happen. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not a regular thing. You should not be getting, these aches and pains and things like that. And honestly, I can tell you I'm a woman that doesn't get these things because, like Roberta said, my dad's a chiropractor. So, I've kind of been keeping everything in balance my whole life, right? So I want you to understand that it is possible to not go through every month with something like this, okay? Now, I know maybe at this point you thought, well, it's every month, I'm just kind of used to it. Well, again, it's not normal, and you don't want to be going through something like that. So we talked about the sugar cravings a little bit already, okay? Now, breast tenderness, one of the biggest causes of that is the buildup of estrogen. Your body is not properly detoxifying and clearing out that estrogen. Okay, so now in the back there's a couple of DVDs back there. They're for you to take. They are about detoxification. Different ways that at the Mladenoff clinic we help go through that. And like I said, that's one of the biggest culprits of that breast tenderness, not always the problem. Like I said, kind of got to be a detective when you're trying to figure out what's going on. Okay?